If you're moving to Washington, D.C., I'm going to tell you what things cost so you can develop a well-informed budget. Hello, my name is Rob. I'm a tour guide and the founder of Trip Hacks DC Tours. On this channel, I share my best tips, tricks, and hacks for exploring Washington, D.C. And over at triphacksdc.com, you'll find info about tours and more. This video is part 2 in a 3-video series about moving to Washington, D.C. in collaboration with the YouTube channel Coffee with Coleman. John and I sat down for an hour and talked about tips for moving to and living here. And that episode is available in podcast format right now. And I highly recommend John's videos over on the Coffee with Coleman YouTube channel if you're interested in Washington, D.C., business, real estate, and all that good stuff. One of the biggest shocks for people who are moving to D.C. is how much it costs to live here. Washington, D.C. is a high-cost city. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. Whether you personally think it's expensive depends heavily on where you're moving from. And I'm really curious, so whether you live here or have just visited, is Washington, D.C. more or less expensive than your hometown? Leave a comment under the video and let me know where you're from and whether it is. With that said, let's get started. And let's start with the elephant in the room: housing costs. If you're moving to D.C., obviously you need a place to live. So how much is rent? Or if you're in the market, how much does it cost to buy? Well, as the old adage goes, it's all about location, location, location. Some areas will be very expensive and some a little less expensive. But that's not a very satisfying answer. So let's hop over to my computer where I pulled up some actual listings so that we can see what things really cost. All right, let's start with some rental apartments, then we'll look at houses for sale, and finally, condos. So, first, have the Illume, a brand new building near the Navy Yard metro station. And they've got a lot of units available because it is a brand new building. So for example, here you could get apartment 953, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,060 square feet for $3,685. Maybe you want a 1-bedroom, you could get apartment 955, 843 square feet for $3,105, or a little less square feet, 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 696 square feet for $2,700. Next, let's go to another side of town. This is the Connecticut Park Apartments. This is near the Woodley Park metro station and close to the zoo. So this is gonna be an older building, probably not gonna have the same amenities as that brand new building. But for example, here, you could get a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 806 square feet apartment for $2,197, or a little less square feet, 733 square feet for $1,914. Or if you want to go up to the 2-bedroom, you can get a 2-bed, 1-bath, 1,023 square feet for a little under $3,000. Another part of town, this is a building called the 1501 Eckington. It's in the Eckington neighborhood, which is near the Rhode Island Avenue metro station. And this is another new building, so it's gonna have some of those newer amenities. And at this one, if you're looking for a small unit, 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 558 square feet, that's available for $1,922. If you wanna double your size, you can go up to a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,009 square feet for $3,073. Or you could do a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 682 square feet for $2,142. Now, as you can see, those prices vary quite a bit, which is why it's important to research neighborhoods and decide what neighborhood is a good fit for you. And the good news is that the entire part 1 of this series is on exactly that topic. Moving on to houses for sale, these are gonna be a little bit pricier. So first one I pulled up here is in Capitol Hill. Technically, this is what we would call Hill East, the east end of Capitol Hill. And this one is a 4-bedroom, 3.5-bathroom, 1,560 square feet house for little under $1 million. And this one looks like a recent renovation, looks pretty nice, but you're looking at a little under $1 million for a row house. So you're sharing walls on both sides with this one in Capitol Hill. This one is in LaDroit Park. This one is $835,000 for 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and about the same amount of square footage. The difference between this one and the previous one is that the previous one looked renovated and this one looks like a bit of a fixer-upper. So you could probably move in here and live in here, but just judging from the photos, it looks like you're probably gonna want to do at least some cosmetic work, if not some bigger renovations. This is another row house. It's 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2,225 square feet for $750. And this one also looks recently renovated. So if you are looking for something that you don't have to put a lot of work into, you might be looking for a house like this. Now, the reason why this one is less expensive than the other two is because the neighborhood is in less demand. So like I mentioned in the first video in this series, neighborhood matters, and which one you choose is going to determine some of options as far as pricing goes. And lastly, let's do one in Georgetown because all the visitors want to know about Georgetown and what the real estate's like there. So this one is in Georgetown on O Street Northwest. It is a 4 bedroom, 3.5 bathroom, 4,000 square foot house, and this one is going for about $2.6 million. And 4,000 square feet is not small. That is a big house. And if you look at these photos, it looks like whoever is living here right now really likes this classical style. So if that's your style, this might be a good option for you. But if not, if you're more of a modern style type person, this might not be a great option. Okay, so what about condos? Because I'm not gonna lie, some of those houses are extremely expensive, and it's gonna be a stretch for someone who's a first-time home buyer or starting out in their career to afford any of those. But a condo might be an option, so let's see what's out there. This one is on New Hampshire Avenue Northwest. It's in the DuPont Circle neighborhood. I have personally been past this building many times, and you'll notice that it is an older style building, so that's the kind of building you might expect in a neighborhood like this. But this is a 2 bedroom, 2 bath condo, 918 square feet for $549,000 with an $814 per month condo fee. And one thing I'll say is that condo fees and condo prices are often inverse. So places that have higher fees tend to have lower list prices. Places with lower list prices tend to have higher fees. That's just a general rule, but as you can see from this one's an older building. It's simple. It's not gonna have the amenities that some of the newer buildings might have, but that might be okay if you're just looking to get your foot in the door, you're looking for a simple condo. How about this one? This is also on New Hampshire Avenue Northwest, but this one is in the Watergate. I believe this is Watergate South. And the Watergate is very interesting. I believe these are technically called co-ops, not condos, but very similar concept. This one is a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, similar number of square feet, 908 square feet, and similar price, $549,000. But this one has a higher $1,697 per month condo fee or co-op fee. And so you're looking at a little bit more expensive in this one at the Watergate. And lastly, let's look at this one. This is on H Street Northeast. This is a 2 bedroom, 2 bath condo, 792 square feet, and this one is priced at $610,000 with a $344 per month condo fee. And this one is a newer building. It's got a newer layout. You've probably recognized these if you've been shopping for newer buildings, whether that's apartments or condos. You will recognize some of these features and the layout. Okay, so that was a whirlwind, and only a tiny taste of what's out there. But hopefully that will start to give you a baseline for what to expect as far as the cost of housing. Obviously, the neighborhood will have an impact on the price. So if you haven't seen it yet, go back and watch part 1 of this series where I gave some tips for choosing a neighborhood. And if you're about to go down and type a comment under the video about how all of these prices seem impossibly high, I get it. Many people start out by living with housemates or roommates. So there's no shame in living with housemates or roommates when you're in your 20s or even your 30s. The next important set of costs are your utilities. In DC, there are 3 primary types of utilities: electric, natural gas, and water. Everybody's going to use electricity. In DC, many furnaces run on natural gas, as do some kitchen appliances. And of course, water is self-explanatory. Now the key is that Washington, DC has 4 seasons. and utility costs fluctuate with those seasons. Generally speaking, you'll have higher electric bills in the summer when you're running your AC, and high gas bills in the winter when you're running your furnace, with lower bills in the more moderate spring and fall seasons. However, many newer buildings use electric heat and all electric appliances and don't even have gas at all, which means you have high electric bills in both the summer and the winter. Now, if you're renting, some or all of your utilities may be included in the rent, or they all may be billed separately. Make sure you always ask before you sign a lease. If you own a place, you're on the hook for everything. And it's worth saying that if you live in an older, energy inefficient building, you can expect your utilities to be higher than if you live in a newer, LEED certified building. Now, it's impossible to say what the utilities will exactly be for any situation. So, I'll just tell you what they are for my situation. I live in a building with electric heat, electric appliances, and no gas. In the summer and winter months, the electric bill is about $80, and in the spring and fall, about $60. And water is about $20 to $25 per month year-round. These next set of bills I don't consider household utilities per se, but they are bills that everyone has. The first is your cell phone plan. All of the major cell providers work here. That means Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T. So if you already live in the US and have one of these plans, you can continue using it once you get here. If you're not already living in the US, then on the very low end, for a very restrictive plan, you can pay as low as $20. And for the most premium, unlimited plans on the high end, you can pay as much as $100. The price I pay for my plan, not including the phone, because I buy that separately, is about $60 per month. Now, it's 2021, and these days, you've gotta have a solid internet connection. Internet is hard to price because cable companies are shady and they're always trying to lure you in with teaser rates or package deals. So I won't go through all the variations, I'll just tell you what I have. I have Verizon Fios with gigabit upload and gigabit download speeds. And I have a TV package because I am a baseball fan and want to watch as many Washington Nationals games as I can. And the price for all of that is $140 per month. Lastly, you'll want to do an accounting of all the monthly subscriptions that you pay for. That could be Netflix, meal delivery boxes, YouTube Premium, or anything else. Now, let's talk about transportation. One thing that people say to me frequently on tours is that DC must be great because we have public transportation and you don't need to own a car. And there's some truth to that, but the reality is that most families in DC do own at least one car. According to Census Bureau data, about 2/3 of households in DC have at least one vehicle, and 1/3 of households have no vehicle. Now, if you followed Trip Hacks DC for a while, you'd know that I am in the 1/3 group, and my primary ways of getting around are Capital Bike Share, followed by Metro. So my monthly transportation costs are extremely low. But if you do have a car, you will have all of the associated car-related costs, including any car payment, fuel, maintenance, and insurance. And keep in mind that depending where you're moving from, insurance may be more expensive. And with car mechanics here in short supply and high demand, maintenance probably will be too. And of course, there's parking. In some neighborhoods, street parking is allowed and plentiful. In some neighborhoods, it's allowed but not plentiful. And in some, it's not allowed at all. So if you have a car, it's imperative that you find out which of these categories your place falls into. If you opt for garage parking, it will probably cost at least $100 per month and as high as $300 per month. For me, my Capital Bike Share membership is $95 per year, or about $8 per month. Metro rides that I take usually cost between $2 and $2.50. And on rare occasions, I will also use a cab or an Uber. But if you are a big Uber or Lyft user, make sure to factor those costs in. Okay, now let's talk about food, because everybody's gotta eat. This is another one where what you spend depends heavily on personal preferences. First, whether you mostly cook at home or mostly eat out. And second, if you do cook at home, what stores you like. Now, my personal favorite restaurants are fast casual restaurants. These places are better quality than fast food, but there's no server, just counter service. I've talked about a few of my personal favorite places in the past, but if you want to see a dedicated video about my favorite fast casual restaurants, leave a comment down there and let me know. For a fast casual restaurant, you can generally expect to pay between $10 and $15. For a basic meal at a regular sit-down restaurant, between $20 and $30. And then from there, increasingly more depending on how high-end of a restaurant you pick. Importantly, this does not include alcoholic drinks. In DC, at a restaurant during dinner, you might expect to pay $10 for a draft beer, $12 for a house wine, and $15 for a basic cocktail. Obviously, these prices will vary depending on exactly which drink you pick. As for groceries, the nice thing about DC is that we do have a decent variety of different stores. We have budget stores like Aldi, mid-range stores like Giant, and high-end stores like Whole Foods, as well as popular stores like Trader Joe's. I typically buy my groceries at mid-range stores like Safeway or Harris Teeter. And for me, the grocery bill averages out to around $75 per week for one person. So you can take that and multiply by the number of people in your family for a general idea. Next, let's talk entertainment. The cool thing about Washington, D.C. is that there is so much to do that is completely free that you can keep yourself entertained for quite a while and never spend a penny. And free doesn't necessarily mean low quality. Many of our museums and special events are amazing. For example, earlier this month, I went to the annual Holiday Boat Parade with friends, completely free. That said, if you want to spend money, you can definitely do that. If you're an opera fan, you can go and see the Washington National Opera every weekend if you wanted. I am personally a fan of live sports, so I tend to spend my dollars at things like Washington Nationals games. If you're a music fan, Washington, D.C. has an amazing live concert scene. The point is that entertainment can be as expensive or inexpensive as you want it to be. Okay, I know this video is starting to get long, so let me run through a laundry list of other costs you might want to consider if you're moving to DC. If you have pets, factor in the cost of food, grooming, and vet visits. Vet visits might be quite a bit more expensive than where you're coming from, because there are a lot of pets in DC, and I've heard that vets are currently in very high demand. If you're renting, make sure to ask about any pet rent, fees, or deposits. A very unexciting category of things to consider are household items. Things like cleaning supplies, laundry detergent, and toilet paper. Everybody needs them, and it's a cost. Whether you enjoy shopping or not, everyone eventually needs to buy new clothes and shoes, so factor that in. And don't forget about the cost of any technologies that you may need to buy or replace, like phones, laptops, or tablets. When you move to DC, you'll want to be very careful to check and see which healthcare providers work with your insurance. And consider switching to a different plan if the one you're moving with doesn't make sense. If you have debts, there might not be much you can do about it now, but you should still factor that in to your budget. Washington, D.C. has a high percentage of its population with a college degree, and as a result, a higher percentage of population with student debt. Lastly, if you're planning to move to D.C. from your hometown, how often are you going to go back? Is your family expecting you every Thanksgiving, Christmas, for every cousin's birthday? Those costs can really add up quick. And it's something that people often forget when they're making their budgets. So factor it in so it doesn't trip you up. And hey, if you made it this far, then I highly recommend watching part 1 of this video series if you haven't seen it already. And if you have, perhaps I can interest you in another Trip Hacks DC video. Just go ahead and click or tap right over here to watch the next one. And whether you live here or are visiting, if you're interested in signing up for a Trip Hacks DC guided tour, you can click or tap on the Capitol Dome on the left side of my head. That'll send you right over to triphacksdc.com where you can see all of the tours that we offer. Enjoy your trip.